Next morning, we departed from the Susquehanna River,
wrote Henry Bettinger with Stevenson's company,
and about 30 of our men painted like Indians and marched in that manner to Lancaster.
Washington finally saw the ragtag bunch appear on the edge of his camp in August, and he knew immediately who they were. A soldier to the bone who preferred sleeping out of doors next to a fire than indoors, Washington dismounted and one by one greeted all the familiar faces, obviously moved. He knew how indispensable their aim and steadiness would be. Washington must have taken great personal amusement watching the snickers of his New England regulars at the wild sight of his Virginia riflemen fade suddenly to chilled awe when target practice commenced.
A clapboard with a mark the size of $1 was put up. They began to fire offhand. Few shots that were being made that were not close or into the paper. Some lay on their back, some on their breasts or sides. Others ran 20 or 30 steps, and firing as they ran, all appeared to be equally certain of the mark. Will you believe me when I tell you that one of the men took the board and, placing it between his legs, stood with his back to the tree, while another drove the center? What would a regular army of considerable strength in the forests of America do with 1,000 of these men?
These men are remarkable for their accuracy of their aim, striking a mark with great certainty at 200 yards distance. At a review, a company of them, while at a quick advance, fired their balls into objects of 7 inches diameter at the distance of 250 yards.
Wrote a Mr. Thatcher in his journal. Also, the British soon learned of their terrible accuracy. The Virginians are grown so terrible to the mercenaries, British regular troops, wrote the correspondent for the Virginia Gazette after a battle, that nothing is to be seen over the British breastworks but a hat. Daniel Morgan's company defeated Tarleton at the Battle of Cowpens, with 12 Americans killed and 60 wounded, compared to 300 killed and wounded and 500 taken prisoner. General Nathanael Greene wrote Washington,
"The victory was complete, and the action glorious. The brilliancy and success with which it was fought does the highest honor to the American arms."
Daniel Morgan joined Benedict Arnold in the campaign in Quebec and turned the tide at Saratoga against General Burgoyne, a major victory for the demoralized colonists. Washington promoted Hugh Stevenson to the rank of colonel and ordered him to raise a rifle regiment, but Stevenson died a year later of fever. Many of his original company were captured at the Battle of Fort Washington. During the war, the area around Shepherdstown saw 100 of its men enlist, 2/3 of whom died during the war, many while imprisoned. Those who returned home were often too disabled to resume earlier frontier rigors, and many moved away to lands offered them in Ohio for their service to their country. Still others moved into the county to resume their old place. After the war, George Washington delightedly came up to visit his brother Charles at Harewood near Charlestown and enjoyed a